Often been said that BEE deals nothing more than a grift. Well, according to this judgment, that's exactly what it is, a grift.
So for those who've been watching us for a long time, we've told you many times the power ships are coming and it's a BEE grift. And now there has been an arbitration between the Turkish company which supplies the power ships and the local empowerment partners. The local empowerment partners were supposed to have 49% of the contract, which is 200 billion rand, by the way. And in return for that 49%, they had to raise 5% of the capital, which was 95 million rand. Apparently the BEE grifters were not happy with this and went straight to arbitration.
So the reason they were unhappy with it is because they can't raise the money. So what they eventually said is they basically said to the primary shareholders, the Turkish power company that has 51% of the shares, they said, very sorry, the 5% that we're going to raise, we can't raise it. So the shareholders, the predominant shareholders, said according to the shareholders' agreement, that basically means that the South African BEE partner has to forfeit its 49% of the shares. It's either cough up the cash or lose your shares, which, it's kind of fair, isn't it? Well, according to the BEE partners, no, it's not. The fact that you're asking them to forfeit their shares, even though you're not complying with the shareholders' agreement, is, are you waiting for it? Racist. And because it's racist, they took it to arbitration on the basis that they don't want to pay. They want their 49%, but they don't really want to pay for it.
So we're used to the grifting of the BEE entrepreneurs. I mean, this is Retardistan 101. But what we were quite surprised at was that the fact that the arbitration went in the favor of the BEE grifters. The judge of the arbitration said, basically, this shareholding agreement, where you lose everything if you can't raise the capital you're supposed to raise, the whole agreement is basically racist and oppressive and unequal. So, I mean, really, it looks like BEE Retardanistan 101 is baked into the very justice system of South Africa.
Yeah, now I read this entire debacle and I did find it rather curious. So the first argument that's raised is that you have this very strict shareholders agreement, which basically says if you do something wrong, this is going to be the consequences. And the judge says, how dare you have such a strong, stringent agreement in the first place? Because that must show you that you had no faith in the BEE partners. Is it you had no faith in the BEE partners because you're racist? No, usually you have a shareholders agreement in case something goes wrong. Every company, including the companies I own, have these shareholders agreements, and they all talk about what happens with the party who defaults against the obligations that they are required to do in accordance with the shareholding agreement. That's exactly what this one does. So then they say, well, why did you ask them to raise 5%? That seems racist. And they said, well, we're bringing all the money, we're bringing the equipment, and we're bringing the skills. If this party has nothing in there, if they have no skin in the game, if you will, why should they be worried whether or not the contract actually succeeds? Why should they be worried whether we can actually provide power to South Africans? Because ultimately, they didn't bring anything. They had nothing to offer. So what are they there for? And the judge said, well, that's racist. How dare you ask them to actually fulfill obligations? So what was the upshot? He said, you should give them back their shares and you should allow them to raise their 5%. And the Turkish power company said, yeah, we'll do that. But what happens if they can't raise the 5%? Can we have the shares back then? And they said, no, because that would be racist.
It's just a complete travesty of what, is deemed to be justice. The BEE grifters are there by law. They're not there because they contribute something. They're not there because they'll make the power ships better in any material way. The Turkish power ship company is forced to have these BEE grifters on board for any deal in South Africa. That is the essence of BEE. So it's only fair, in my estimation, for the BEE grifters to have a little bit of skin in the game. Just raise 5%, guys. It's like 95 million rand. It's really not a lot of money. I'm sure you can do it. And if you can't do it, you can't be our BEE partners anymore. It seems a straightforward clause in a straightforward shareholder agreement. But apparently company law and contract law just doesn't really matter anymore, because if it's racist, there's no such thing as contract law. There's no such thing as company law. The overarching theme of racism basically destroys the social order of commerce, according to this particular judgment in the arbitration. No wonder we are turning into Retardanistan. It's insane.
Yeah, I need to correct you there, Ramon. I need to fact check you. We are not turning into Retardanistan. We have turned into Retardanistan. Because you see, in Retardanistan, what we would effectively then say is, well, logically speaking, if the party is coming here and they're not actually bringing anything, and we don't even require them to raise 5%, they've got no skills, no expertise, no equipment, no money, that seems like fronting. You know, BE fronting, which is illegal. And that's exactly what the Turks argued. They said, well, if they don't bring anything, then it's just a fronting deal, and that's illegal. Now, the judge said, no, you got this the wrong way around, Turkish company. It sounds like you're fronting because you're asking them to pay for 5%. Yeah. This is a completely retarded judgment. I mean, I've read retarded judgments, and then I've read this one. There's nothing in this judgment that makes any sense.
Load shedding is an ANC-made disaster. They're trying to solve it through this power ship which produces 0 megawatts, which will solve nothing in load shedding terms. It's all for the grift. And now that the grifters have to put up a tiny bit of capital to make this deal pass through, the judge says that's not good enough. In fact, you should completely be fronting, essentially. The judgment is saying fronting is perfectly normal. Hire the person because they're black. They don't need to bring anything to the table. They don't need to bring any capital to the table or skills or anything else. As long as they are black, it's not racist, and therefore it is absolutely fine. Once again, Byron, Retardanistan.
And if you question it, that's racist. And if you ask them to bring some money, that's racist. And if you take it to court and try to take their property back because they don't pay, that's racist. So fronting is not fronting, and nothing is fronting. And giving stuff for free is good, and taking stuff because you earned it is bad. So welcome to Retardanistan in 2023.